The Pope and Young Club wants to welcome you as we rally together to ensure our bow hunting opportunities for today and tomorrow. You've come to the podcast that believes in preserving, protecting, and promoting the passion for bow hunting. Join us as we strive to be the voice of today's bow hunter. This is the Pope and Young Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pope and Young Podcast. I'm Jason Rounsville, joined today with my co-host Dylan Ray, and we have a couple with us today who was so we feel so privileged for them to have invited Pope and Young along on their very special day. So we have with us Andrew Santana and Isabella White. You guys, thank you so much for being here with us today. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you for having us.
Yes, I have to admit, this is something a little bit new for us. We've never had a podcast specifically about an engagement video before. So this is a little bit new for Pope and Young. But I have to say, you including us in your special day was something that we couldn't overlook. We saw the video and that was just, so thank you so much for including us in that special day.
Of course. And while it's a first for you, it's a first for us on a podcast. So thank you again.
Absolutely. Well, we can't wait to hear the story. So first off, the question that I'm done, Isabella, did you know what was going on when this was happening?
Absolutely not. No.
You had like an inkling. You're like, you know what? This feels a little bit interesting. Maybe something's going on.
No. I'll have to give it to the Santana family. They are all spectacular actors.
You mean liars? Spectacular liars.
Not liars. We just didn't tell the truth.
Yeah.
There's a bit of embellishment throughout the day as to what the purpose of the video that they were preparing me was for.
Okay.
They spent a good deal of time orchestrating the whole thing and convincing me that I was going to be on camera and that...
Which you were.
It did
were
work.
On camera.
We are on camera now, and I was on camera then, but they had this elaborate plan set up, and I believed every word of it, hook, line, bait, and sinker, and the reaction you see on the video is honest.
That is outstanding. So obviously Andrew is an archer and a bow hunter. Now, how about you? Have you started yet? I know the premise of the video was, hey, here's some technique for archery. So tell us about your archery experience.
I was supposed to start archery, but I was proposed to instead. That was the day I was supposed to start.
Okay. Well,
I've shown some interest in it, and he and I have discussed it before, but no, I can't say I've never shot a bow to this day.
Well, I'll tell you what, knowing a little about that family, I would say you're probably sitting pretty good for getting an opportunity.
That's right. And I have the best people that I can think of to learn from as well.
Absolutely. And so, Andrew, tell us about how this all came about. I mean, this is, and the crazy thing is you had one of our brand new Pope and Young branded t-shirts on. I don't think those things had been out for a week when I saw the video. I mean, those just popped at convention. Next thing I know, it's a few days later, this video comes out. But I'm looking at this, I'm like, man, they had to plan this for weeks and weeks to get this all put together. So tell us about that process.
Jason called me and said, I know we've made it when we're in a proposal video. And
totally.
I'm like, there you go.
That's awesome. And so it's a funny story. I'll tell you how I had the shirt. So in that convention, which was about a week before.
If that.
Yeah, so my father was at that convention, and he sent me a text saying, hey, I got you a Pope and Young shirt. It's their new logo. It's badass. I'm bringing it home.
I love it.
So the plans, yes, they're in the works for probably a month or so before. And all of the details, we knew that we wanted to do a sunset shoot, and me shooting at a target that had a balloon in front of it, covering a sign, and then her looking through the binoculars and all that. So we kind of knew that we were going down that path. The final touch, the what do you call it, the cherry on top, was that Pope and Young shirt because it gave us that story of bringing in a new hunter, into archery.
Hey, Dylan, we should just stop right now because he just said that on that video, that if you haven't seen the video, folks, you have to see this video. So there's a link to it on our website. Anyway, he just said that on an amazing proposal video like that, with that much thought put into it, he said the cherry on top was the Pope and Young T-shirt.
I thought the cherry on top was the fact that she said yes, but
well, she said yeah. I mean, that I would assume that if you're going to that much trouble asking, you're probably going to get the yes. I was like, are those fireworks real? I mean, who has fireworks show for something like that? That's better than what I saw on the 4th of July.
It was stunning. It was stunning. It scared me at first because this is maybe my second time being out in hunting country. And when you hear that sounds way out in the woods in Illinois, the first thing you think of is these are not fireworks.
Right.
Summer, so but it was really surprising.
So yes, the fireworks were very real.
Wow. So who all was, without throwing anybody under the bus, Isabella here, who all was in the planning stage of this? Who helped you with that? I mean, that's a production.
So really, I have to give the big round of applause to my father. He's the one that saw the Pope and Young shirt and kind of came up with that last idea of really tying it all together. So I give him the biggest credit, but along with my mother, she kept her distracted the entire day, picking up, cooking, hanging stuff. So my parents, I have to give the most credit to.
Wow, fantastic.
Inside the house all day while they were setting up the target and the balloon and all that. She kept me busy around the house. And Ernie, as he mentioned, did a great job at coming into the house and, hey, we're going to do this really cool new segment about getting women involved in the hunting, Pope and Young. I'm energized by this convention I just went to. I want to do a segment. Isabella, you're going to be our star. And that's as much motivation as I needed to pick up a bow. So
absolutely.
You can do it.
That is fantastic. So going back, where'd you guys meet?
Oof. Well, so we met in Miami, where we're from, a couple of years ago, right?
Few years ago, actually during high school, and amongst my friends, I say this is, I'm engaged to my high school sweetheart. How storytelling, it's a beautiful story to tell. We met back in high school when we were young. Our circles kind of were intermingled, and we knew of each other for a while. But as I was getting ready to go to college, I remember I was fostering puppies at that time, so neonatal puppies from the Miami Animal Shelter. And I was posting about them on social media, just letting everybody know how they were doing. And Andrew, someone who I'd known from my past, reaches out and says, hey, those puppies are really cute. And as it turns out, he also thought I was pretty cute. And the story kind of, continued from there. We got to talking, and eventually we went out and went on some dates and dinner, and the rest is history.
And now we're here.
Yeah, now we're here.
now we're engaged. Have you picked a date?
Oh, gosh.
So that is to be determined still. We're in the process of remodeling our house, which has, I'm sure both of you know, it's a hassle. So once we finish that and get moved in, then we're going to start really planning and picking a date and places and all that.
I'll say we haven't picked a date yet, but I know he's picked a season. Being from Miami, summer is not the time we intend to do it. We're maybe winter, spring.
Being from Miami, really no season is the season to do it because it's always hot.
I'm going to guess it won't be during probably whitetail rut or maybe during
I have which is winter, so I have to choose my time carefully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's several weeks on our calendar that are blacked out for hunting, where those are the periods that it's go time.
My dad,
and a little Dylan froze up.
Are we
Dylan,
good?
are you with us?
I hear.
Yeah.
My dad was going to officiate my wedding. He's a pastor, and so I call him and I said, Dad, listen, I know the dates suck, but she wants to get married on her parents' anniversary. It's like, so the dates are November, whatever. And he said, no, they ain't. And I'm like, Dad, I'm like, you can't help it, man. I'm like, it's one day. And he's like, dude, listen, I'm already committed. Like, I'm going to a deer camp, blah, 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 this and that. I've already paid money. Like, you can have your wedding, but I ain't going to be there. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I had to reschedule my wedding just because my dad wanted a deer hunt. But
Serious business.
That's a serious right there.
Your father.
And I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand the problem there, Dylan.
Well, I mean, I don't either. But my wife certainly, I understood the problem. My wife certainly didn't understand the problem. She was like, "Are you serious, your dad?" And I'm like, "Well, he's not wrong. You know, you tried to plan it in November."
I mean, yeah.
Luckily, I've spent enough time with the family that I know, again, those days are blacked out for me.
Yeah, very good.
I will be planning the wedding then.
Well, and see, let's hope that right now they're blacked out for them, and then in the coming years they'll be blacked out for you. You're going to be like, well, yeah, of course I wouldn't want to get married during, whitetail rut or elk rut or early season mule deer. There's going to be some stuff where you're going to be like, yeah, of course that's off limits.
That's the hope. That's the hope.
So Andrew, tell us about. Obviously, you're a bow hunter. I don't know. I've met your dad. I know I've been Facebook friends with him for a few years now, so I see his adventures all over the place. Tell me a little bit about you. What do you have on the books for this year?
So a little fun fact. I haven't hunted with a bow. I actually just started practicing bow archery. I started practicing after this last year gun season.
Okay.
But I've been hunting since pretty much I could grab a gun. I've been going to the farm in Illinois since I've been 13 years old. I've been hunting every year for gun season. My dad has actually tried once before getting me into archery, and it just didn't click. But I'm at the age now where I've kind of I feel like I've already done the gun, hunting portion of it. Where
right
for so many years, I kind of want a new challenge. And the first time that I really practiced archery, I realized how difficult it is. It's way harder than just looking through a scope. So my dad has really helped me and backed my effort into getting into archery and learning it and being good. So it's been really fun, and I could definitely see why it's almost like a soothing hobby.
There's an artistry, at least just from spectating. There really is an artistry to it that I appreciate, not even really knowing any of the technicalities of it, but it's gorgeous work. I respect it.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring that up, because there's, I think for a lot of people, when you start hunting, you need that, I don't know if it's instant gratification, but you need that success. You want to go out and you want to have the trophy picture. And, I'm in my 40s and I'm still, part of me is in that stage, but it's, I think to really embrace the archery aspect, you have to understand that it's more than just that picture. And even just in the last little bit, I've been able to do some hunting for antelope and elk. And, I go out and man, I could have shot some really huge antelope with the rifle, and it probably wouldn't have been a 2-hour hunt, because we saw some great ones. But when you do it with the bow, all of a sudden you're sitting and you're waiting and spotting and stalking, and it's a whole different level of commitment and challenge. And it really does. It takes that mindset that it's more than just going out and shooting something. You want to embrace the artistry of archery and the hunt and all the little nuances that sometimes, and I'm a rifle hunter as well. I do both. But there are experiences that you can only have when you have to get them even closer than they are, where with the rifle, it's all over, and with the bow, it's just starting. So
it's way more intimate. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're going to be looking forward to hopefully some photos of you, and you let us know. And I what I can't figure out, I'm like, Dylan, what, they wore a Pope and Young t-shirt for the engagement video. I can't even imagine what they're planning to do to include us in the wedding.
Yeah, you get to sing in it.
Yeah. You know what? I think we can do better than me singing at the wedding. I really think we can do better. I'm
Well,
not sure. I mean, do we have some ideas? Do we need a brainstorm? We could have people send in suggestions.
I would love that. That would actually be really helpful.
What if it's something borrowed, something blue, something camouflage, Pope and Young?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Dylan, have you ever seen a Pope and Young wedding cake?
I have not.
I haven't either.
I almost would bet that if somebody was willing to have a Pope and Young cake, we would pay for it.
I'm telling you, we could. And you know what? That may not be the best idea. There's, Isabella, if you had to come up with just a couple brainstorms, just off the cuff, what kind of things would you think of?
Oh, the camouflage.
We've joked before. We said, why don't we step up our game? I mean, we're in a theme already. We might as well go for it. How about a camouflage wedding dress? Are we tuxedo or
camouflage tuxedo? Do
right.
you guys make those?
I've seen a camo sports coat before, but I have not seen an actual tuxedo.
I bet if it was going to take place, I bet our friends at QU could help us make it happen.
You think we can make some calls?
I bet.
Let's see how committed they are, right? I think right now, poor Isabella is just sweating. She's like, "Oh my gosh, what if they come up with a camo dress?"
My mother-in-law.
That might be the bigger challenge, is convincing my mom to let us wear camouflage outfits.
Between Ernie always being out on hunts and us potentially having our wedding in full camouflage, I think she's got a lot of hunting in her life that she's got to deal with.
Yeah.
But maybe she's all for it.
Yeah. Maybe like more of a pocket square, a camo pocket square. I'll bet KU could hook us up with some of those. So.
We'll see. We'll keep it maybe understated, but something will definitely flash every now and then. Pope and Young was with us for the engagement and for the wedding.
That is so awesome. Like I said, it was I saw that video, and your dad probably shared it on Facebook or something, and I saw that, and I sent it to Dylan. I said, "You will not believe it." I was years and years ago. I was at a general managers meeting in Dallas, Texas, and it was a company, and they said they had a speaker, and they came in and they talked about going from like good to great and becoming a legendary, organization, company. So they said, there are places out there, there are businesses out there that people tattoo on their arms, like Harley Davidson and different things. And they said, what you strive to be as a business or as an entity is something that people believe in like that. And it was, when I saw that video, I was like, you know what, that is fantastic that you would include us. And it was literally, that's how hey, we're doing something right when people include us in a special day. So it was, that was pretty awesome. Now, what, Isabella, if you could hunt one thing, what would it be?
Ooh. So Andrew and I, we have this thing. We'll routinely send each other photos or videos on Instagram. We've often sent pictures from Pope and Young's Instagram to each other, and we're always kind of commenting on the things we find interesting. And over the years, he's really made me interested in elk hunting.
Okay.
His favorite animal. We're always sending each other videos of them in the wild. I think they're gorgeous creatures, and I think that's maybe the favorite that he sent me and that we've talked about. It would be a really special hunt. I know that it's a special hunt generally, but
it's a tough hunt.
It's a tough hunt too, I hear.
It's a tough hunt, and you wouldn't believe when you're there, when you're in the moment, how quickly things happen, how big an elk really is at 20 yards, and how often someone could miss an elk at 20 yards, even with a bow. Somebody that will not miss a playing card at 30 yards, I've seen miss an elk at 20 yards with a bow, and have no idea how. So,
well, I mean, that's kind of the beauty of hunting. Really is you get a lot of pressure and factors that go into are your hands shaking while you're at draw, so I'm looking forward to that feeling. I really am. I've been practicing now for how many months? Since gun season.
Since I got back to Dallas.
A while. Well, so my plans are to hunt this year at the farm for the first time with bow. So I'm gearing up for it in about a month or so. Yeah, it's September, so it should be pretty soon where we'll find out if I got it or if I don't.
Excellent. Well, and that's the thing with the bow is sometimes it takes a little bit longer to figure out if you've got it or not, because it's not, like you say, it's more than just picking it up, putting the crosshairs on something. There's a lot of technique and practice and that goes into it, and it is when things are going on right in front of you. I don't know how many times I've been there, and all of a sudden you let an arrow go and you're just like, oh, that's it. It's a game over. And then boom. Oh, I didn't even see a limb there. I didn't even know there was a little stick. And all of a sudden the game's not over. You just missed the stick and missed the shot. So,
well, my first little funny story, my first day of practice shooting bow, I was 10 yards from a probably 5 feet by 5 feet white big target, right? Really hard to miss. So as I'm pulling back, I'm really struggling. And I think the bow I have now is a 60-pound bow. So, 60 pounds, I know my dad was a while back shooting 90 pounds. And, now he's gone down, but 60 is kind of normal. I could barely pull it back. And as I was pulling back, I hit the release by accident. And of course, I was pointing up, everything that you shouldn't do. So that arrow just shot into the sky and we lost it. About maybe 3 months later, my dad was looking at our trees. We have a fruit tree up front, and he looks up, and my arrow hit a limb and still up there to this day. It went through it.
We considered it cutting it down and putting it in the shadow box, so that one day when you're on the same mission as your father is, we can have that amongst your mounts. The first thing you ever shot was an avocado branch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's, what? Hey, here's the great thing is you got to learn some lessons on maybe what not to do without anybody getting hurt.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's
the avocado tree, of course.
Except for the avocado tree, but it sounds like it's doing okay. I think it sounds like it's nursed back to health, and
it's still there. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah. That's catch and release bow hunting. Shoot avocado trees. Yeah. They don't look as good on the wall, and I'm not an avocado fan, so they're not as good on the table as like an elk, but at least you can catch and release.
That's right.
Yeah. And so, all right, elk would be your first thing. Is there something that you see people and you're like, man, I don't know why anyone would want to shoot that?
Well, elk wouldn't be my first thing. I just want, because I know that there's some experienced hunters listening to this podcast. My sights are set on a target 10 yards away. That's my first thing. I would love to also do whitetail that I know you guys often go up for during the winter.
Yeah.
What would I not go for? Gosh, that's a great question.
Maybe bears.
Bears.
Okay.
I kind of would want her to go for bears, or I would have to be there with her.
I have not, and I'll preface by saying I have not seen a lot of bear hunting videos, so I don't really know how that process goes, but I've heard a lot of bear hunting stories, and they always put the fear of God in me. They always do. I have a deep respect, if not fear, for bear hunting. That is a crazy thing to pursue. They're gorgeous. Ernie has a couple here, and they're gorgeous animals, but that hunt sounds intense, to say the least.
See, bear hunting is one of my favorite things to hunt. And I took my wife on a bear hunt last year.
Wow.
And the first night we were out, every twig that would snap or leaf that would crunch, she would freak out. She's like, there's a bear coming. I got to get out of here. I'm like, babe, if you hear it, it's probably not a bear. And she ended up the rest of the week just staying at the lodge and not even going out and hunting with me. And I'm like, I brought you all this way, and you just sit up there and don't come out. But she got scared. So she hunted one night and was done.
There are some serious stories about bear hunting that I'm taking to heart. Ernie's told me a couple of his experiences, and it doesn't sound like it's a faint of heart. And right now I am the faint of heart when it comes to grizzly bears and such.
Yeah. It's interesting because a couple of years ago, I was at Omaha and I was talking to some people because bears were never high on my list. I'm like, it's a bear, and then you start talking to people and you talk to the guys like John Fossil that his thing is hunting dangerous game with a bow. And you just listen to the excitement in his voice, and he's transported back there. And at the time, I was sitting at a table. This is at the convention in Omaha. And a couple of the people that I was sitting there with, one of them was Alan Bolin. And I think he was leaving maybe even from convention to go on a brown bear hunt, huge, immense animals. And I'm like, all he does, he's a bow hunter. That's what he does. And so I didn't even have to ask him if he was going to use his bow on that thing, because the answer. And then on the other side of me was a guy by the name of Don Trump Jr., who was our keynote speaker. And it turns out he was going up like a week later to go for brown bears. And I said, hey, are you going to use a bow? And he's like, man, I don't want to be that close to one of those things. And at the time I was thinking, I don't either. They'll kill you. But as for the last couple of years or 2.5 years, I've been around people who do that, and they just, it's once again, it's the whole experience, the aura of bow hunting and being around them and being that close to something that big, and people just love it. I mean, there's men and women out there that that's their top thing. And you talk to the folks, like Steve Perrins up at Rainy Pass Lodge, and you talk to him about, archery hunting for those great big bears. And it's easy to get excited about it. So, Isabella, I could totally see where you're coming from. Probably 24, 28 months ago, I was probably there, but now I'm tipping the scales a little bit more towards, what, that might be interesting. There's something there. The people that are into it just love it.
Well, I'll tell you what I find really interesting about bears is you kill a big whitetail 6, 7, maybe 8 years old. You kill a big bear, it can be as old as me. I mean, it could be 25, 30 years old. And you're like, you go from hunting an animal that's been alive for 7 years to an animal that's been alive for 25 years. And it's just, man, this bear has lived 25 years. It's seen everything that it can see. It's been everywhere it can be. Like, it's experienced everything. And I tricked it. Like, and I fooled it. I got within its wheelhouse and I harvested with it. But like, that's crazy to me that bear has lived so long and seen everything under the sun, and I was able to harvest it. That's why I love bear hunting.
And some of those great big bears, the true record book trophy bears, when you look at them, we had a couple of them in the museum, and you'd look at the skulls. I mean, the teeth are broken and missing, and you're not taking something, a lot of times you're not taking something in its prime. You're taking something that's clearly on the backside of its prime, and the character in the skulls just really, really is something to see. And if you get a chance to be exposed to it.
Sure, what a lifetime experience. And every story that I've heard of them, the scary ones and the successful ones as well, have always been the same, which is their one in a lifetime experience. Everybody that I know has hunted bears has a deep reverence for the hunt, and they tell that story with great pride. So
yeah,
I think right now I'm a little scared of it, but you're convincing me, and I'm sure you'll get to it too once you get on your bear hunts.
Yes, hopefully in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that depends on how I do with whitetail.
That's true.
Yeah. So now tell me, you guys are from Miami, and when I think of hot spots for hunter recruitment and places where you just think, well, obviously there's an innate hunting culture, I don't know that I would put Miami at the top of that list, to be honest.
It's not. It most definitely is not. And that's kind of the unique story of my father. He's been hunting since, probably 30, 40 years now. No, 30.
How many of those were spent with the bow?
Most of them. And the reason why he bow hunts now, it didn't come from choice. It actually came out of necessity, where he has this ring in his ear, and it happened once when he was shooting a rifle, and it was so loud, and it was a kind of a chronic injury, just getting worse and worse, that his eardrum kind of it had some damage to it. So he goes, I can't shoot anymore. All right, I'll practice bow hunting. And once he loved it. Yeah, so yeah. But as far as Miami being a hunter's paradise, by no means.
We do have iguanas down here, but beyond that, I don't think there's much of a hunting culture that I can think of. And again, coming into this house for the first time as a woman who has no experience, no family background in hunting, except for some fox hunting on my father's side, but that's long since been retired. Coming here and seeing the house as it currently is with the mounts all over the walls, I was taken aback at first. But again, with the time and the culture that they introduced me to, you develop a respect for it that doesn't maybe come off at face value. Again, having no experience in it, you walk in, what is this? Oh my goodness, I took a wrong turn. But the stories and the respect and the fact that we go there in summer to cultivate land hogs, there's an art to it. It's amazing.
I've got to say that a lot of people don't understand hunting and the hunting culture and what it means to really,
especially in Miami. I just don't think we don't really have the land for it, the resources for it, unless you got to the Everglades or up in North Florida. But Miami, especially, not so much. It's not the city for it. But with your father being here, I'm happy that it's exposed us, a new generation, to it, and our children as well. So I know you're not going to.
Oh, of course.
You're going to show your children. I'm sure they'll be out with a gun when they're 13 years old, just like you were.
100%.
Now,
Yeah,
correct
that's
me if I'm
great.
wrong, but you can hunt iguanas year round in Florida, can't you?
This is true. This is true. I actually
It's a
have
blast.
friends in Central Florida who've done that. They have doing that.
Dylan, do we have a category for iguanas?
We need.
You should.
I don't think we have that.
I've heard guys go down there and hunt iguanas, and they're like, it's an absolute blast. You can kill as many as you want. There's no season, no bag. I mean, and they like it's fun. And I'm like, huh, never would have thought of it.
Florida man's fox hunting too, because you got your little spaniels out there who'll jump in the water, go fetch them for you when you get them. It's great.
I've actually never been iguana hunting, but I have kind of wanted to try it of recent. It does look kind of fun, and the reason why there's no seasons is because they are everywhere, and they're incredibly invasive, and they dig holes, and it's awful.
Yeah.
I lived in Dallas for a period of time, and a bunch of my friends out there were also into the boar hunting for the same reason.
Yeah.
That
looks like fun. I'm like, okay, so you're telling me I could strap myself into a helicopter, hang out of the side of that thing with a foot out on the skid, and start shooting hogs with your choice of AR? Yeah, that's cool.
Just it sounds awesome.
Yeah, I got to do it once. A buddy of mine invited me down for that, and it was pretty neat.
Well, if you're interested, we can definitely make our way out to the Everglades, go iguana hunting. We'll send you all some footage of that. I don't know if you guys have interest in that sort of thing.
We always have interest. You send us some iguana stuff, and I know a guy, Dylan. We could get that online, I'm sure.
Absolutely could.
Okay.
Does it have to be with a bow? Because that's going to be really hard.
Yeah, it's going to need to be a bow. You got to practice. I mean, if you're going to chase whitetails and elk, you better be able to kill an iguana with the bow. So yeah, Dylan, what do you think? A bow?
Yeah.
That would be the first iguana bow-related content that exists on the internet.
Exactly.
I don't think it exists on the internet right now.
And I will attempt it if only if I do get one. I am the first placement in a new category for iguana Pope and Young.
You know what? I don't know that that's going to fly with our records committee, but if that's what it's going to take, I'll send you a certificate.
There you go. We'll make it happen.
certificate.
I would open the Pandora's box.
Oh yeah, it would. That's not even something I want to bring up because our records committee they hold everything Pope and Young and everything records as completely sacred. So when you even suggest a new category, they're just like, They're like, what are you talking about? If that should have been a category, we would have had it a category. And so
I got an email not too long ago about making bow fishing a category, and I think it probably falls somewhere in the same realm.
Yeah, it's
you also can't lead as one of the Miami bow hunters with Pope and Young as the first person who also recommended iguanas to be. I feel like that just wouldn't be a good precedent.
Yeah, you're gonna want to run that by your dad before you pop that Santana name onto an iguana category.
I wouldn't dare ask him.
So yeah, so was your dad pretty happy with how that video turned out?
When the video was finally put together and I guess sequenced, we all watched it and we were all kind of taken back because we didn't know how it was going to come out. I didn't know if I was going to miss, and actually about an hour or so before we did it, I was practicing from 15 yards. When I got there, for whatever reason, they moved me to 20 yards. And you think 5 yards is not a big difference, but that got in my head, and I was freaking out that those 5 yards were going to make the difference.
Yeah, I can't imagine the pressure of like the engagement, the whole thing. Plus, it's on at least 2 or 3 cameras angles that we could see. Fireworks are keyed up. I mean, everything is ready to go. But if you don't hit that balloon, man, I could see that being some pressure right there. That's like bear hunting. I'm telling you, that right there is bear hunting.
And I wasn't that nervous until I pulled back, because I don't have the muscle memory to really hold the draw for a long time. And while that wasn't that long, for me, it was.
Under the pressure of I'm about to ask this woman to marry me. I'm sure it felt like forever.
So I wasn't nervous until right when I stepped out of the truck, when I got to the spot, and I was like, all right, it's happening.
That's great.
I did not know at all. All of you are fabulous actors. Not a single time did I think, oh, that's what this is. Not at all. I thought you were demonstrating the bow pullback, and I was taking notes. If you watch me, I'm observing your form. I'm looking at your elbows. I'm listening to Ernie, taking the whole story.
I'm not sure if you guys caught this, but when I pulled back, there was one comment from her where she goes, "Ooh, it's so smooth."
I was trying to take notes. I was being a good student. I didn't realize what was going on.
I'll tell you what, if she's taking notes while you're drawing back, you need to get this girl a bow. I'm telling you right now. This is
I would love nothing more than that.
Yeah.
It'd be fun. It's not just for the target, so it would be really cool to get into.
Your birthday is coming up.
This is true.
There you go.
I'm still riding the high of the ring, so I don't. But
you know what? You're on the wave right now, and you're engaged. So now's when you ride the wave of the gifts. Just say, hey, we're engaged. This is probably going to be a big birthday present, like a bow.
That's right.
Well,
and arrows.
Yeah. Once we were offered the chance of free gear, we're like, hell yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And how does your what we send them out? Do you guys get some KUIU gear?
We got the hats, and then we got 2 jackets.
Yeah, so it's Open Young hat and 2 jackets.
Awesome.
I wear it all the time around here. It fits in with all the mounts.
Yeah, I'm sure. Dylan, what were we thinking? We're sending people in Miami KUIU jackets. They're going to need to travel to use those things. So, but
Young branded flip flops maybe for the Miami weather.
They just got to turn the air down in their house so they can wear it.
I'll tell you. That's well, we were happy to do it, and once again, we thought anybody that includes us, we had to do something special for. And so, if anybody else is out there listening, if you're getting ready to get engaged, or I think Dylan came up with the reveal party.
Have a baby, yes.
Yeah,
as the next step.
The next step, yeah. You guys have set the bar pretty high. I'm not gonna lie. With the T-shirt and the fireworks, and she said yes. That's setting the bar pretty high. But if anybody's listening, Dylan, I think we got some more KUIU gear we could send out for anybody that could top this video, or even get close. You get close to this video, you know what? Include Pope and Young like that. I think we're good to send some more gear out.
You know what I was just thinking, Jason? We got a lot of Pope and Young pint glasses that would be awesome for a wedding.
Oh, yes, we do.
We do need some glasses. That's for sure.
If anybody else is having one, there you go.
All right. Well, we'll have to keep brainstorming. And I honestly, I think I just can't wait to see what you guys come up with, because I think
we are definitely thinking about it. It's just because of the way that the first one went, it's kind of become the running gag now. We have to one up ourselves in the next one.
There you go.
The wedding, we're gonna make it hunting theme, and I guess the honeymoon now has to be too, and the reveal and the
bear hunting.
What?
That'll be it. We'll go bear hunting for the honeymoon.
Yeah, or elk.
Talking about.
It sounds like man. If that's
fun.
That's not a bad honeymoon right there.
Maybe not for me that season, maybe for you.
Yeah, that beats Disneyland all to pieces right there.
100%.
sure.
Yes.
For
Yeah. So, well, hey, one thing that we ask on every show, we ask the same question every time, and this is I have no idea what we're gonna get because we're in some uncharted territory. Isabella, I think you might be our first ever not yet hunter on the show. So if
Come on.
when you find yourself out in the field, and I hope you will soon, I have a feeling that you're going to find yourself out there. And what is one thing that you would think you would take with you in your pack that you just wouldn't want to live without?
That's gonna be tough for her to answer.
Yeah.
I might call in a helpline if that's okay. Are you survival?
No, for hunting. Hunting is survival.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? We've had.
We always have fire starting stuff.
There you go. That's probably not.
That's the right answer.
It is if that's your answer, Dylan. Let's add that one to the list. I mean,
there are no answers.
There's no. Hey, we've had some of the best bow hunters in the entire world on this show, and we've yet to have a wrong answer. So we'll take that. And I always have some in my pack. In fact, pyro putty or whatever your make is, but there's some good stuff out there. And
Jason, that would be a good time to drop a little teaser. Pyro putty will probably come out with a bow hunter blend, and
a bow hunter blend.
And it's going to be Pope and Young branded.
So, all right. With that being said, you know what, Isabella? Not only was that the right answer, that was probably the rightest answer, because now all of a sudden, for your fire starter can be Pope and Young bow hunter blend pyro putty. So
there we go.
Oh, that's exactly right. Sponsorship.
Excellent. Bam. All right. After an answer like that, Andrew, you even want to go? Yeah, you have to go. It's part of the ritual.
Of course. And I hope that my answer is going to be unique, and I think it will. And it's going to sound bad at first, but just wait till
Iguana spray.
Huh?
Iguana spray.
Almost, but no. So actually, I will take one beer with me every time that I go out, so that whenever I do harvest an animal, I always crack that open and have it. So beer is my essential.
Okay. We can live with that. I've got some buddies that do similar things. I had one buddy of mine used to take one of those little airline bottles of wild turkey, and he says, "Hey, when we connect, we're gonna have a sip." And another one, I think out down in my gun room, I've got a cigar case, because I had a buddy that used to always take a cigar, and when he connected and he punched his tag, he'd have a cigar, and this one's just crushed because a horse went over with him on it, and this particular cigarette case happened to break one of his ribs. But I don't know why he gave it to me, but anyway, I wound up with it, and it's one of those neat things that you look back on, you remember literally where you were when they were telling you the story. So I can Dylan, I can live with a beer. How about you?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of like Michael Waddell. He said he always carries a cigar with him.
Yeah. So now, what kind of beer? Because it's probably going to be warm.
Well, I'm waiting for the Pope and Young branded beer now. So yeah,
Dylan, I think
reels
that was a direct challenge to the marketing manager to find a Pope and Young branded beer right there.
Now we got reels turning, huh?
Dylan, I'm telling you, right now, you find a Pope and Young branded beer, I can guarantee you at least one wedding that will have it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, ours.
Yeah. In Miami.
So normally I'll take out Blue Moon.
Okay.
My go-to is. So I've taken out that. I've taken out a couple of other ones, simple ones.
I'm kind of a diet Mountain Dew guy myself, but I have actually two favorite kinds of beer. It's free and cold, not necessarily in that order. So
exactly.
But
and no, it actually doesn't get hot because it's always cold at the farm during season. So I can
There
actually
you go.
sit out the bag, and it might get colder. It depends on how the temperature, but
Now you're
it's
bow hunting. So is it going to be all shaken up?
no, I just have to keep it in the bag now.
These are important considerations to make for bow
They are.
hunting. They are.
Yeah, and you have to be careful because when you have inclement weather, all of a sudden now it can't be a can. It has to be, I don't know. They don't make beer in plastic bottles because, like with soda, if it's going to be super cold, you can't take a can because it'll literally explode in your car or your bag or wherever it happens to be. So you might have to do some research there to find just the right beer.
I actually haven't thought about that, and that's a very good point. Thank God that hasn't happened to me.
Yeah.
Let's brainstorm that.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'll tell you what, Isabella, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today. We had a great time talking to you. Cannot wait for your next adventure. And we can't wait to see some of those archery, the shooting and the hunting, pictures that you guys are going to send us when you get out there. And,
Well,
and thank you so much for including Pope and Young in your special day. It means a lot to us, and we really do appreciate it. And we wish you guys all the best in your future together.
thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
All right.